Now to the looming ban on TikTok. The social media platform could be essentially prohibited here in the U.S. if its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, doesn't sell to an approved U.S. buyer within 9 months. This all stemming from concerns over national security, as some experts say the app can gather personal data and use the algorithm to control what users see. The social network has said it is not a threat. Joining us live to discuss this morning is cybersecurity expert Steve McKeon, founder and CEO of MacGyver Technology. Stephen, good morning, and thank you for being with us today.
Pleasure to be here.
So talk to me about why you say you think the app should be banned here in the U.S., and also talk about the data that could potentially be gathered from this app.
Sure. I'll back it up. About 4 months ago, we had a cybersecurity incident for a company here in America that was ransomware by Russian hackers. And during the interview, or the looking through what was going on there, we found out that there was some traffic going to mainland China. And once we looked into that, we found out that was some TikTok data. And we thought that was kind of odd, but our scope of work was just to look at what was going on for the ransomware. But that raised some alarm bells, and I reached out to some other researchers, and there's some other really concerning aspects of the application. One is called permission sharing, where they can ask other apps to, like, hey, look at your text messages or encrypted things. So there is definitely some concern. I used to be a big fan of the app when it first came out, but since then I've deleted the app, and I feel like it might be something to look a little further into. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with the data over there when it gets sent over to mainland China, but it is definitely a concern, and hearing others seeing similar kind of security alarm bells go off, it's a little bit something that should be under scrutiny more.
So the U.S. government basically wants TikTok to sell to a U.S. company. Would selling it to a U.S.-owned company make it any safer? Is it less safe than any other social media platforms that use an algorithm?
That's a fair question. The thing is, the CCP, which is running ByteDance, is having basically to be forced to sell to an American company. And I think because of that, they'll allow them to have a little bit more scrutiny what's going on there, where like something like Facebook or Apple or Meta, they basically have to adhere to at least U.S. rules and regulations, where, once it goes over across seas, it's really difficult to see what they're going to do with it, how they're going to use it, and if they can use that against you.
Now, a lot of Americans use TikTok, millions of them actually, and they're still going to be using TikTok despite these warnings. A number of users actually rely on it as their main source of income. So can users do anything to protect themselves while they're using this app?
It's hard because one of the things I just learned about is called permission sharing, or app collusion, where they can ask another app for permissions to have access to something. I don't know if an end user will be able to stop something like that. And it's difficult to tell what the app is actually doing behind the scenes. They don't exactly advertise like, hey, I'm sending data over here. So I think, there's definitely some room concern. Maybe 5 years ago, I'd say this wasn't an issue. But now, I mean, what's going on in the world and where we are, especially with the cyber threats that we're seeing increasing, I think this should be looked at much closer. I'm not a lawmaker, but I feel like this definitely is something, I'm not just the only researcher that has found some things that potentially could be not the most savory thing to do, at least. Worst case scenario could be something even worse. So I feel like there should be, some more oversight on that. And I think having an American company run that, at least you can tell where the source code's, what it's doing, and others can kind of verify that.
And should we be wary about using social media in general? What other ways can we use to protect ourselves on social media just in general?
That's a hard thing to do because everybody uses social media, even myself. So just honestly do your due diligence. There's a lot of scammers out there now that are going to try to, create fake accounts, and it might not exactly be who that is. I believe TikTok is trying to roll out something to verify AI content opposed to real content, which I think is a step in the right direction. So I feel like, it's hard. But I think the tools that can help with this are trying to play catch up. So, basically, who knows what it can, what'll come on this. But, I think in the end, TikTok won't be banned. It'll probably be forced to sell to an American company, and things might change just a little bit in the algorithms. But I believe overall it'll be a safer app.
Okay, Steve McKeon, thanks so much for talking with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.